I'm going to go for the prize of the biggest data set and the messiest data set. So we have 3 collections. We've been archiving by permission since 2004, and that's been slow, but we've got 200 million resources from that. And then we've also, since 2013, we've been archiving under legal deposit, and we're pulling in about 200 billion UK URLs a year in that collection. It's about 30 terabytes compressed. Fortunately, thanks to JISC and Internet Archive, we also have the historical dataset to complement that up until legal deposit, which is about 6 billion URLs and 57 terabytes that runs all the way back to 1996. We cannot avoid using data mining techniques. This is too big to provide the most basic level of access, and to maintain this collection, we need to use that kind of approach. So I'm going to try and tell you about the things we're already doing, which which we've been doing to address this problem of scale. So what do we mean by access? Well, historically, in the Web Archive, and actually more generally, access usually means single item retrieval. So this is our earliest item, which was manually reconstructed. It's a 1995 image, the earliest UK website archive I know about. And it's the British Library's website. I got the server-side copy from someone on site. And it's if you know where to look, you can go and look at it. How many people in the room know that the BL website wasn't called www.bl.uk back then, but was called Portico bl.uk back then? Not very many people, right? So you won't find it unless you know that, and you'll never see it. So single item access is not enough. We need more vectors for discovery, or people cannot recontextualize and rediscover this information. So, fortunately, even to do this at all, don't worry too much about the details. What I want to draw your attention to is the cluster in the middle. So for storage and data processing, we have an 80-node storage and processing cluster within the library, which we use to keep this stuff safe on the way to DLS and to build all the indexes which make it accessible. So my question to this room and to the library in general is, how do we best exploit this, complementing the existing initiatives outside the library? So far, we do this in a number of ways. We can't catalogue 1 million home pages. So for those 1 million home pages, we use pretty basic machine metadata extraction techniques to make catalogue records, to make metadata. Those are combined with curatorial annotations for the sites that our curators think are important, which number in the 10,000 or so. And that provides our so-called title level search. However, that's only the millions. What are we going to do with the billions? Well, I'm fortunate, and the library has long committed to delivering full text search of this material. So we already do index billions of resources. And to try and to echo back to a problem that was raised before, I did a dictionary search against this corpus, and the only words in the dictionary I found that weren't there somewhere were obscure Latin terms for plants. So there's hits for everything, so you need tools to help people filter down the hits. We can't do relevance like Google do relevance. We don't have the resources, so we take a different tactic. We try and generate a lot of facets based on facts about the content and use that to help people slice and dice the data down until they find what they're looking for. So it's a different style of information retrieval. However, having got that far, well, that gives us an opportunity to build some kind of analytical access, by which I mean something broadly like the Google Books Ngram, for example. So this faceted full-text search baseline, if we combine it with how we process the data to enable us to do trend analysis and try and pile visualization tools on top, then we get a much richer way, kind of macroscope to use some of the more fashionable language, of discovering the distant reading and close reading the Web Archive, bringing those very close together and letting people shift very easily between large-scale trends and individual documents. So we currently have a AHRC-funded project to get modern historians to drive this development forward. So, just an example, I did on an older version of this index of the kind of longitudinal analysis one can use as a gateway for our researchers. So these are prime ministers over time, and there's back in the 1997 election, you can find everything about John Major and Tony Blair, and then in the next one it's all about Tony Blair and Gordon Brown. And then as you come into the more recent years, you can see John Major fading away, Tony Blair maintaining a certain suspicious background level of activity, as we all know. This has been recorded, I shouldn't have said that. And Gordon Brown ascending briefly and then descending as David Cameron zooms up the charts. So, similarly, this also helps us manage and understand our own collection. For example, this isn't the final figures on this, but we can scan for Creative Commons licenses. Now, this is probably an underestimate because we use a very restrictive way of scanning it, a very clear declaration we were looking for. But if we can find this stuff, which still corresponds to hundreds of thousands of documents, we can make it openly available. We don't have to leave it locked behind the legal deposit access requirements, in principle. However, our services can only answer the questions we know researchers have, and realistically, because of the funding, we can only answer the questions that lots of researchers have. So, and we can't give you the content, generally, because of the legal constraints. So we do something in the middle, to echo your point. Facts are not copyrightable, so facts about content, which are not substitutable for the content, can be made available, and that's what we do. So far, we've made the crawl index available. If you want to know everything that's been seen on the UK web at any point in time, you can find out. We've scanned for postcodes and made a geoindex available. For people who care about the way the composition of the web as a medium has changed over time, we make format profiles available. And the most interesting generally is the link graphs that we make available. These facilitate independent research and can be made CC0. So we've done that so far. That's been great fun. Lots of examples of people studying the links between web hosts. I'll just talk about this one really because this was useful for us. Someone, they weren't really interested in web hosts. They just wanted to test their great big fancy graph layout algorithm. So they scanned out the 1996 links from our dataset and graphed them, and the layout algorithm brings them together by how well connected they are. So the big blob in the middle is co.uk, and the ones around the side are ac.uk and org.uk and so on. So that echoes the structure. For me, what's interesting is the halo. So this is stuff which is in the UK domain, which we should collect under legal deposit, but we will not discover if we only crawl within the UK domain, because it's only linked to from outside. So that tells us we need to change the way we crawl to make sure we capture a more representative image of the UK's web. Yes. It also gives us this same link graph also gives you a way to study the dynamics of the web over time. You can study how the different areas of the web have linked to each other over the years. And there's a visualization on a website you can look at if you're interested in that stuff, but I won't do it now because it's short for time. How am I doing?
I finished early, so you've got a few.
Okay, well, I won't bang on too long. This is our service spectrum, where we try and have a range of services which meet different user groups' needs as much as we reasonably can. So, as I said, the single item retrieval, you still need that to go and look at an item in its own, or a hit in our search index in its own context. We do the title level search, which we can make most openly available, and the full text search. We've started to do analytics and visualization. The problem we're having at the moment is making it work across the whole 6 billion historical data set, but we're getting there. The grey stuff is stuff we're considering. And we're made those secondary data sets available, and we're keen to work with others who have ideas for data sets they'd like us to generate. In the future, there's an open question for the library and for us about whether we try and offer some kind of API so that those data sets can be queried remotely by those that don't have the resources to query them themselves. And indeed, when we really can't predict anything close to the question the researcher wants to answer, should we offer full computational access to this material? You bring the code to us, we run it on the cluster, you have total access, you do what you want. We kind of do that internally right now, and in principle the same cluster could be used for any content, but there's an issue about whether we take that forward as our role or how much we decide to complement other external services for that kind of thing. And yeah, as I said, as I hinted at there, this has all been about the web archive, it's all been about delivering legal deposit access and all that kind of stuff. But now we have this capability. We've not quite solved the scale problem, but we're doing okay. What we haven't really solved is the complexity problem. We haven't done named entity recognition, we haven't tried to cope with OCR text, we haven't tried to really do much with images. So should we use this infrastructure and apply it beyond the web archive as a more unified approach to the way the library handles material at this time? And that's me. Thank you.